Whoa, welcome. We here with another episode of the My Brother Show. I am your host, Maurice Rush. Do me a favor, you follow me on Instagram at Rushzilla. Follow the show on Instagram at the My Brother Show, as you see on the ticker at the bottom. As you know by now, I'm sure this series is called How He Became Him, where I'm talking to your everyday men, the men you walk by on the street, the men you bump into at work, the men you see at the bar, the men you see at the restaurants, the men you see at the sporting events on TV, talking to everyday men, trying to figure out how they became who they are today, what happened in their lives, some of the hurt they went through, and some of the active healing practices that they're doing, if they're doing anything, how they learned that. And I'm really excited about this series. I think it's really valuable. I often hear people talk about, oh no, where's the real men? Their men aren't men anymore? Or why do they do that? Or why do people do this? And it's like, let's dig into that. Let's figure that out. So this is my favorite part of the show. You probably heard me say this dozens of times if you've been a fan. It's literally my favorite part of the show. I don't ask people for bios. I like to introduce people just based off of who I know about them. I'm huge on giving people their roses because that one day we all going to be 6 feet under, and I want people to know how I feel about them, how much I care about them. On this side while they can hear it. So I love introducing my guests. So this guest, he is no stranger to the show. Actually, at some point behind me, he's going to pop up on the screen because this is the episode that he was on. Just a huge big brother to me, man, over the years. I don't know if I've ever actually seen him in real life, but like, man, we've been a part of this group, of this amazing men's group, probably since like 2009, 2010. I'm always willing to talk, always willing to share a positive word, always willing to help with some growth. And then just the commitment he is to better not only himself, but his family and being there for his children. Just a pleasure to watch from afar, man. So I'm always grateful to chat with him. I'm always grateful to have him come on the show. And without further ado, I get to introduce my brother and my friend, Chuck Williams. Chuck.
What's going on, Mr. Rush? How you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I can't complain. Enjoying this good Texas weather. It's actually cool right now.
Hey, man, the Cowboys fans going to be wilding down there on Sunday?
Believe it or not, the Cowboy fans don't act anything like the Philadelphia or Boston or Los Angeles or Atlanta Cowboy fans. Like, they just enjoy their team, but they don't go to the extremes that other markets who like them go.
So you ain't gonna have to lay no hands on nobody.
Oh no! Last year, my sons took me as a combination gift, birthday, Father's Day, and Christmas. They took me to the Eagles Cowboys game last year, and it was probably one of the best sporting events that I've been to, just because of the facilities and the crowd participation.
Okay, that's good to know, because I know some Cowboys fans here, and I just figured Dallas was a city full of all of them. It's good to know.
They're passionate, but they don't go to the extreme like again Philadelphia Cowboys.
Right. I bet. So I ain't got had no bell money ready for you, so we good. All right, let's jump into it, Chuck, man. So you know the first question I sent them to you in advance. Who is Chuck Williams?
I am a 49-year-old divorced father of 3, grandfather of 1, Army veteran, a son, a brother, a friend, a cousin. I wear a lot of different hats.
So how, with that in mind, the brother, the friend, the husband, the ex-husband, the father, all those things, with balancing all of those things, what are some key moments in your life that you feel like kind of shaped you into who you are today?
I would say the first decision was to go to Job Corps. High school and I weren't getting along, so I decided that, I'm not going to go to school no more. But in the house that I lived in, I had to do something. So I decided to go to Job Corps. That was the first real decision, because it opened me up to different communities and different ethnicities and all other types of things. Because when you're from Philadelphia, if you don't leave Philadelphia, all you know is Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's great. And just for people who aren't aware what Job Corps is, could you explain it to them just in case someone isn't familiar with it?
It's a program that's funded by the government. It teaches young men and women from ages 16 to 24. It teaches them a trade. If you are eligible to get your high school diploma, you can get your high school diploma. If you're trying to get your general equivalency diploma, you can take that as well, learn a trade, and get your foot in the door of society, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's dope, and that's dope, and that's because I talk to a lot of students. Actually, my primary job right now, I work with a nonprofit that gets IT certifications for 18 to 25-year-old range, and you can have a bachelor's level education. And just talking to them, they're like, "Yeah, I knew college wasn't for me," and I'll tell anybody, like, "Yeah, college isn't for everybody. You just gotta have a plan." So I love that you said school isn't for me, but I took an alternative route to find a trade, to get a certification here, to join the military, right? Like, so
Yeah,
what, from what happened? How did you get from Job Corps to the military?
I left Job Corps when I was 20. I became a dad at 20. So that's what facilitated me leaving Job Corps. And from 20 to 26, I was in a circle like most of us in our communities are in the low minimum wage paying jobs, barely making it, not having anything to show for it. And I became a dad for the second time. And I was like, I got to do something. And I decided on going into the military because at that time, Philadelphia was crazy. Like it's always crazy, but it was like people, you could die walking out your front door. So if at least something happened to me in the military, my children would be taken care of.
Oh, I love that mindset, man. I talk to a lot of people who talk about how fatherhood changed them. What shifted between child one and child two, if you don't mind me asking?
My oldest child is a girl. So, they say men make women and women make men, but I would counter that the shift came once I had my oldest son, because now I'm responsible for showing him what a man looks like. I'm responsible for teaching him what life has to offer. And that's what actually lit the fire, having my oldest son.
Oh, that is great. How did it feel enrolling into the military, knowing that you had two children back here in Philly that you wouldn't get to be around as much as you would like? Because I feel like that would be a tough decision for someone else in your shoes to make.
I went into the military old. I went in at 26. So I got a 5, soon to be a 6-year-old, a kid about to be 1. So it was like, I got to do something. What's the point of me being here if I'm not offering anything? And it's a hard decision to walk away from your family to some degree. But what you're trying to do is teach them that when you have responsibilities, you have to go make it shake however you can make it shake.
I love that. No, I really, 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 really do love that. And I love that. Did you feel like you were supported, like amongst your peers and family with the decision?
I would say 95% of the people that I told I was going to the military was supportive. And, you always have that few who don't understand why you're doing what you're doing and tell you what they couldn't do or preconceived notions of what anything is. But if you've never been there, how can I take your word at face value if you've never done it?
I love that. This conversation is great. I'm about to throw the whole agenda out and stay here. But no, because I feel like I told somebody, like my brother, I'll use that as an example. This has been on my heart for like ever, like literally, like I graduated college in 2010. Probably in some capacity, something like this has been on my heart forever, but people so unintentionally or intentionally douse your flame. Like you get something in your mind, you kind of casually throw it out there to people and they laugh at you. And you're like, oh, I guess I won't do that. And then a couple more years, you kind of get psyched up to do it again. And somebody's like, oh, you sound stupid, or no one's going to listen to you, or something like that. It could be completely in jest and they don't realize they're doing it. And people so unintentionally douse your flame. But I love that you were able to say like, hey, I want to do this. And even that 5% a lot of the times will outweigh the 95% in our lives. I love that you were able to block out that 5% and follow what the 95% was saying. So how did you do that? Like, especially at 25, 26, I feel like at 25, 26, I was still really impressionable.
I would give credit to my parents. I was raised by two incredible people. I often tell people my mother showed me how to be a gentleman and my dad showed me how to be a man. And they told me very early in life, do what you got to do for you. Someone's always going to have an opinion. And as long as their opinion don't pay your bills, it shouldn't matter.
Oh my gosh. That's a word. Do what you got to do for you. Everybody gonna have an opinion, and as long as their opinion don't pay your bills, it don't matter. I love that, man. I love that. I want any young man, any old man too, listening to that quote to keep that in mind if you're putting all chasing your dreams because you're too old or you're too young or you don't have enough money or the timing isn't right or you're waiting for this other shoe to drop or whatever the case may be. Like if it's your dream, do it. Follow your dreams and
A lot of times people dim your light, and it's not because they're jealous that you're doing it.
mm-hmm.
It's much more psychological. I'm jealous that you got the wherewithal to do it because we all come from the same environment. We all see the same things, good, bad, ugly, and different. How are you? I'm mad that you can get past all of this and do that. So when you understand that about people never really going to understand your walk because it's not their walk. And as long as you're confident in you going forward, you only learn by failing.
Oh my gosh. I used to tell people, like people don't understand your vision because they don't have your eyes. You know what I mean? Like I can't see what Chuck is seeing because I'm not Chuck's eyes. Like I see it from the outside. It might not make any sense to me. But you know exactly what your plan is. You know yourself. Like, there are some thoughts that we have. There's some, regardless of how close you are to the closest person on the planet, the person you spend the most time with is yourself. So it doesn't matter who your closest brother, friend, parent is, you still spend the most time with yourself. So you know you better than anybody else. Other people are here to guide you. I think it's amazing to have people to call you out when you're on some BS. I think it's amazing to have people to support you if you're grieving or if you're down or if you're hurt or if you're lost. But if you are passionate about something, pursue it. Make room for it.
You have to.
And embrace change, right?
You have to. I saw a video on Facebook the other day, and it was called being a part-time adult. Mm-hmm. You want to be an adult when it's time to go out. You want to be an adult when it's time to party and have fun. But when it comes to responsibility, you don't want to be an adult. Right. You can't be a part-time adult. And everything that's comfortable is good, but you can't grow if you're comfortable. Mm-hmm. So you have to step out of your comfort zone to see if you're good, not good, see where you need to tweak your plan or see if you're right where you need to be. Mm-hmm. Unless you try it, you won't know if you're going to be successful.
I always say, if people didn't try different things, we'd all still be slaves right now, right? At some point, it took somebody to be like, yeah, this ain't it. Like somebody had to say, yeah, this ain't it.
Yeah, this ain't the way I want to live.
Right. Or we all still be slaves right now. So embrace change. I saw a quote, and I wish I would have watched the video. You're scrolling through the stories on Instagram, and like the quote popped up, and the girl said, the reason that we don't reach the heights that we want to, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, it's like the reason we don't reach the heights that we want to is because we're afraid to step away to who we have presented ourselves as for all these years. So if everybody was used to North Philly Chuck for 25 years, and you're like, I'm about to go to the military. No. Like, I can't see you in the waking up at the crack of dawn. You know what I mean?
My parents were born and raised in North Philly. I grew up in West Philly, but I navigated all parts of the city. But I spent a good portion of time in North Philly. We don't reach our goals because we're scared to fail. And until we're willing to be honest with ourselves, we can't have those conversations. And to your point, we spend the most time with ourselves. That's why you can't lie to yourself. We might can tell ourselves what we need to hear to do what we need to do or to get by, but we know deep down that's not the truth. And until you walk in your truth, how can you truly be successful?
That's great. Yo, let's talk a little bit about just like hurt and overcoming some of that hurt that's related to life. Like, because I feel like we often have goals for ourselves at a young age, right? Like, and then as you get older, like this is an example. I used to play the piano in middle school. Right before like my final performance for this program I was in, I broke my foot playing like football or something around the way. I was like 12, so I didn't go to the performance, and I never picked the piano up again. To this day, though, like if you put me in front of some sheet music, I can figure out like where each note on that sheet is on the piano. I might not be able to play it that well, But there's a part of me that says you should pick up piano playing again. Like, but then I say, I'm 35 now. I got 3 kids. I don't really got time. I don't want to do it. So I feel like oftentimes as we get older, that ambition, that drive, that desire to push new heights, to push the envelope, to learn new things, it just starts to die off, and we just kind of settle like, this is just the life that we have. So can you just talk about that as a little bit older than me, a couple years older than me?
I would say it's the rat race. That's what hurts. Our environment hurts. The fact that we have to go work mundane jobs for a not decent wage to have some semblance of excitement in our lives. Mm-hmm. If you could spend time, you would spend time with your children all day and you would play the piano. Mm-hmm. But the way society is set up, you got to go work. So more than half your day is spent commuting and working. And by the time you get home, you just don't have the wherewithal to do those things. And people think, oh, you're just being lazy. You got to find it. Depending on where you are in your life, you might not have the time to find it. You have young children, so you don't have the time to pick up piano today. But in 10 years, you may be able to pick it up because that same passion may be there. So the pain is not being able to actually do what we want to do.
And when you have that pain, and I think so many of us, especially inner city, low income families, so many things are hurting us, right? Like we got police brutality, we got poverty, we got racism, we got systemic racism, right? Like we got lack of education, we got community violence, we got, like I done probably worked in every social service department, for low income families in the city. So like I know from like the way some of these things are constructed is bullcrap. Like, for example, when I worked for Philadelphia Housing Authority, I would get literally calls, like 10 calls a day from people looking for different residences, or people who got mouse-infested houses, or roaches-infested houses, or ceilings that's caved in. They weren't doing nothing about it. So that's another hurt, right? It's like you got all these things that's hurting us, and we're angry, right? And I think to a certain extent it's justified because some of those things are valid hurt. But how do you take that hurt and start to channel it into something positive and not become a prisoner to it?
You invest that hurt into yourself. First, you have to acknowledge it. And you're right, we have so many environmental traumas. By trade, I am a licensed master social worker. So I worked in the clinical mental health, behavioral health field. So I too understand what that looks like. We can't sit and complain about it. You got to do it. If you want it, you got to go get it because they're not going to give it to you. I understand it's a difficult spot to be in. And you can't get to the big apartment in the sky, but you can work a little harder to get out of that place. And if you in a place that's infested, the next step up is a place that's not infested. It doesn't have to be a palatial palace, but you have to set goals. And goals don't become goals until you put a time frame on them. Until you put a time on it, it's an idea.
I love this, man. This is like giving me so much life. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but I really am excited to have this conversation. Because it's about taking the first step, right? Like I think oftentimes we get caught up in the whole picture that we have to paint. And it's like, oh my gosh, I got to do this and this and this and this and that. And it's like, you can't get to that final step until you complete step one. So step one might be get a better job. You know what I mean? Step one might be, get on apartments.com. You know what I'm saying? Step one might be Google rental assistance programs. It might be suing, right? Like see legal counsel, right? You got to start somewhere to do it because a complaint for one day could become a complaint for 15 years real quick.
Easy, because you get accustomed to it. You become desensitized to it. It doesn't bother you after a while.
And then people start to check on it, right? People start to check in like, yo, man, you straightened out? And then you're just used to like,
oh yeah, it ain't about nothing.
Right.
But you don't want to have company or you don't want to entertain because I can deal with it. I don't want nobody else to have to deal with it. In our community, we deal on a wants-based perspective. We only care about what we want, and we need to start focusing on what we need. Because if you take care of your needs, you'll get most of your wants. But if you only take care of your wants, you're still gonna need shit. So if we change our mindset, that's step one, changing our mindset. What is it that I need versus what do I want? And once you can identify what you need, what am I willing to do to get it?
Mm. Mm.
Now you can start creating an action plan. And it doesn't have to be, again, move out within 30 days, because that may not be realistic. But I need to do X, Y, and Z. Do I need to go back to school? Do I need to take a part-time job? Do I need to find other legal ways to make extra income to change my circumstance? If you can do those things, then what you ultimately want is to be in a better place will happen, because you're working on your needs.
Mm-hmm. So what are some practices that you think that we can do to turn that hurt, in particular as Black men, right? To turn that hurt into more of a healing thing? Because it's something I said to one of my other guests, is like, that's really the only emotion we're allowed to show is anger, right? And you see that in the shootings, right? We see that in the violence in the city, right? We see that in, some of the families that's broken apart, because I literally have talked to men before who aren't taking care of their kids, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I reached out to her and she told me I couldn't see him," and I'm like, "Okay, well, what did she do then?" She said I couldn't see him, so I stopped. And they're angry, and rightfully so. You should be angry if you're not seeing your child, but like, at which point do you turn that hurt into something healing? Which point do you act on that hurt to make it something positive in your life, and not just embrace it and use it as a justification to stay where you are?
I would say it's a word that is very taboo in the Black male community. Therapy. Therapy works. Therapy helps. People go into therapy thinking, "Oh, this person can't fix me." Well, if you're looking for someone to fix you, you're in the wrong place anyway. You can only fix yourself. Therapy is not designed to help you. It's designed to help you process thoughts, feelings, emotions, how to identify triggers, how to maneuver a little bit differently. And if you open to that process, therapy is a great place to start. Like, we laugh and we joke about it, but you're not going to go to a butcher if your leg is falling off. You're going to go to a hospital because they're trained doctors. Now, butchers may know their way around a knife, but they don't know what arteries not to cut.
Right.
So talking to your homie, and this is no knock to religion or anything like that, your pastor can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
He is not a trained professional. He is going to talk to you. He or she is going to talk to you about what God can do for you. And that's great. But a trained professional can help you direct that energy. They can show you how to connect the dots. Oh, well, this happened when I was 12, and I've been moving like this since I was 12. Well, maybe I need to identify and finally talk about what happened to me at 12.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most of our emotions and anger is the little children that's inside of us. That's who dictate how we move. It's not the adult. You are grown in age and probably responsibility. But if the hurt little boy or girl is still driving the car, then you going where they want you to go.
Man, that is great. That's a nugget, because it's similar to what I was just saying, right? Like, one day of hurt can become 15 years of hurt real quick. It can become 30 years of. You ever talk to somebody, like, you ever talk to a woman, bro, and she like talking about like her kid's father or some ex-boyfriend one day, and you'd be like, "Yo, when they break up?" And they're like, "I ain't talked to him since 2013," and you'd be like, "I thought this shit happened last month." like I thought it happened last month. The way you talking about it, like, you gotta let that go.
They can't.
They can't. And it's like, what are you afraid of? Like, I know Will Smith has been polarizing lately, but if you look up Will Smith skydiving on YouTube, he tells his story about how he was supposed to go skydiving one day, and he was really hyped to do it. And then he got on the plane and he was just like petrified and afraid. But then he said the moment he finally jumped out the plane, it was just pure bliss. All of that went away. And what he says is, like, all this stuff, he said, I was afraid of jumping out the plane, but everything I was doing up to that point wasn't jumping out the plane. So what was I afraid of? And the moment I actually jumped out the plane, I wasn't afraid anymore. So he says, what do you need that fear for? It doesn't do anything but mess up your day. Worrying and fear, it just does nothing but mess up your day. So we got to stop using the hurt as a crutch to justify our poor behavior, to justify our lack of movement, to justify our lack of action, to justify our anger, to justify our situation and circumstances, because that's what we do. That's what we do as men.
That's what we've been conditioned to do. As you alluded to earlier, we were told as little boys in every inner city across the United States, little boys don't cry. You acting like a girl. Stop crying. Be a man. Be tough. So you don't know what to do with those emotions. So you swallow them. And now when things start to bother you, the only way you know to deal with it is to lash out, because you got so much stuff bottled up that everything makes you lash out and it becomes anger. So we have to, one, as men, be in relationship with our children. No, not to say another man can't raise your child better than you, but who else better than you to raise your child?
Right.
That other man may not understand some of the dynamics or the genetics that go along with children. And you, who better to raise a Rush than a Rush? So we have to be in relationship with our children. In our community, we have to stop being at odds with women, and women have to stop being at odds with us, because we point the finger of who hurt who. We collectively hurt each other. Let's resolve to the fact that, yeah, we both did some stuff that we probably shouldn't have done. How do we get past it? And until we get to that point, it's going to be a continuum of what we see. And so my answer is change your peer group. Everybody can't go. You might see something that everybody else don't see, and because it's different, you feel ostracized because it's different. I was a smart kid growing up, but I got left down because my friends wasn't as smart as I was. So I wanted to be with my friends because being smart wasn't cool. Today, I'm okay that I'm smart. Like, I read a book or two, and I don't mind talking to people. So you have to live in who you are and be comfortable with who you are. And to understand who you are, you got to dig deep.
You got to be honest. You said it earlier. You got to be honest with yourself. And I love that. I started therapy. I'm probably going to say this every episode, actually. I started therapy last November after my mom passed last July. In my first therapy session, Chuck, I said, I don't enjoy anything in life anymore right now. And he looked at me. I said, I just lost my mom. I was also in and out of family court for my oldest after 13 years at the time. I had got put on child support for him on my birthday a month after my mom passed away. I had just moved. Like, I was transitioning jobs. Like, life was just like, I had just had a baby. I just had a baby last June too. So it's like, you have a baby, you lose your mom, you fight in custody court with your oldest. Like, life was just like at me at the time, and I couldn't deal with it all. And I'm literally just like going through the motions of life. I'm sitting there. I probably cried more in that stretch than I did at any other point in my life. And like, he said, what are you here for? I said, I don't enjoy anything in life anymore. And I want to figure out how to have fun and enjoy life again, because this ain't it. And I was borderline suicidal at that point because I didn't see no way out of it all. But that's where I think that being honest with yourself comes into play at, because I could have sat there and been like, no, I'm good. I'm straight. This ain't nothing. No, I told people, no, I'm hurting right now.
Yeah.
I'm not having fun right now. I need help. I need y'all to come over to the crib more often. I need y'all to, get me out the crib some often. Don't let me drink myself away, right? Like, because I'll grab the bottle and just start bringing them back. Like, don't let me drink myself away. Don't let me pick up any bad habits. Get me out the crib. If I'm calling and I'm not answering, try again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need you guys right now. We spend our whole lives identifying people that we call friend, brothers, bro, homie. It's tough. The first thing we do is pull away from them. Nah, you my brother for a reason, Chuck. You know what I mean? Like, you my brother for a reason, and I need you.
I need to lean on you for a little bit.
Right? You know what I mean? And that's what that honesty looks like, right? Like, and I think that's how we start to heal, is to say, like, yo, like, you might call me a sucker right now, but if I'm a sucker because I'm stressed out because my mom died, I just had a baby in this, then I don't know what a sucker is. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, again, everyone is going to have an opinion. Those who truly love you and you truly love won't judge you based on the worst day of your life or the worst space of time in your life. But that's what we were taught to do growing up in the communities, that we were taught to make fun of someone who is expressing a moment of weakness or moments of weakness. And it's easier to poke fun at somebody than it is to say, hey, how can I help you?
Because then you get picked soft, emotional, gay, all these little terms that for whatever reason we've likened with life happening, right? Like that's literally life. Like people die, that's life, right? You know what I mean? People have
we become desensitized to it. And people's pain is our amusement. You look at any social media platform up and down, you could find someone having a terrible time, and instead of someone helping, someone's recording it. Because we here to amuse everybody, so we're gonna laugh at somebody else's pain. Like, but that's who we are as a society.
And it just sucks. So like if you're listening to this, man, I really want to stress that be honest with yourself thing, because if you're not keeping it real with yourself, it's hard to take that first step that we talked about. It's hard to go to a therapist because you'll keep saying, no, I'm good. And don't get me wrong, if you're listening, there's some other obstacles to therapy. Like I say therapy works. You might not be you might not work with that certain therapist, but therapy as a whole works, right? Like you might not like McDonald's, but that doesn't mean that all fast food is bad, right? That just means that McDonald's is bad. So find one that works for you. I have a black male therapist. He's great. Like,
for our community, cultural competence in therapy is important. And when we look at therapy, we look at it, we got to go talk to somebody white, and they're just going to sit there and judge us. And that's not to say that doesn't happen, but cultural competence is important in therapy because we talk so much without saying a word. There is something being said in silence. And if you don't come from the community, you may miss that. That's why cultural competence is important. It's two very good sites that only show Black therapists. Is therapy for Black girls and therapy for Black boys or Black men. And you can pretty much go on that site and you can type in your zip code and it'll show you all the therapists in your area. You don't have to go see someone. You can actually do research. Hey, what insurance do they accept? Do they accept private pay? Are they private pay? What hours? It doesn't have to be in person. Is it telehealth? Like you can pretty much build your therapy session around your schedule. So it's okay not to know. It's not okay to not to want to know. And a lot of the times we don't want to know.
I love this, man. I love it. I talk freely about going to therapy, not because I want like a handout. It's because I want to make it less taboo. So anybody who's talked to me, I'll talk. Oh, yeah, no, I got therapy on Tuesday. Well, my therapist just moved to Cali, so we see it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock half the time when I'm meeting with him because he's just getting off of work. But I'll tell anybody, oh, no, I got therapy tonight. No, I can't talk. I got therapy tonight. Oh, and tonight when I get home, I got therapy. Oh, I can't go out tonight. I got therapy. It got to be after my appointment. It's not because I'm looking for pity. It's like, no, I'm a regular guy. Y'all might think I got it together. I don't. I don't.
I've been on both sides of the couch. I have provided therapy and I am currently in therapy. So I don't just say it because I do it for people. I say it because it actually works. Like I just went through probably the most difficult stretch of my life. I ended a 21-year marriage ended, and it was tough. And had I not had therapy, I live in Texas. My support system is minimal at best, so I had to navigate this by myself. I couldn't have did that without therapy.
And we're so anti-therapy, especially the men, right? Like I know women are actually pretty more open to it, but men are so anti-therapy. It's like, man, like I always say, if you got a 2023 BMW fresh off the lot, don't you still got to get maintenance on it? Every 3 months, you still need an oil change, right? Every year, you still got to get a tune-up, right? Yeah. So what about your brain? That's obviously not a 2023 BMW. Like we damaged. Like, I mean, we might be a little beam, like a Bonnie. We like an 85 Bonnie over here.
We might be an 88 Celeb.
Right.
Celeb wagon.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but we trying, we still taking it down to Smokey from under the bridge. Like, nah, like go to somebody who know what they're doing. It's going to continue to break down. You gotta
This
get
is
a
how I
real
view life, and this is how to answer one of your questions. I'm sorry for cutting you off. How do I heal? Understanding that we compartmentalize, and when you are feeling overwhelmed, is because you can't take in any more information. You are overwhelmed. So what you have to do is you have to unclutter those compartments. You have to get rid of things that don't serve you anymore. And the more you start to declutter your compartments, the less overwhelmed you feel, the more you can take in. Like, I can't pass this test in class because I just can't get it, or I can't get this promotion at work because I can't get it, and you're overwhelmed. You're not going to be able to get it. You got to start figuring out what serves you and what don't. You can keep good memories. You can remember bad stuff, but you can't allow it to dictate how you move. So if it's something that you can't change because that person or people are no longer here to where you could properly address it, or you don't think it's worth addressing to those people, let it go, because it's not serving you no purpose. Clean your compartments.
And it's okay to take a step back from people and still love them, right? Like, I have some friends that I grew up with. I had my friendship circle from like age 11 till now. But there are some people who I was tighter with at 11 than I am today at 35. And I still love them, but I had to accept, like, we're really not as close as we used to be. It's no love lost. That's just the nature of life. Like, that's growing up, like, you know, and accept the people that God put to replace some of those other relationships or those other situations that you had, some of the other things to get you out. Like, God or whatever deity or whatever fate or universe that you believe in put you in the military so that you had a better means to provide for your family that you were creating. You accepted that. You know what I mean? There's somebody who got that idea thrown out to them and they was like, no, I ain't doing that. I can't leave. I can't move. I got to stay here. Like, accept the blessings that are coming your way at times, because it might not at the moment, it might be uncomfortable, because changing is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. But get comfortable being uncomfortable, because comfort is complacency.
The best adult decision I made was to join the military. And it's not because I'm all patriotic, rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. I don't care about none of that. I really don't, because they still don't care about us.
Right.
But it served a purpose. I served, I got out, I got a master's degree on the government. Like, life is a little easier for me because I served in the military. And what I understand about life is, if you go into life thinking you're going to beat the game, you're going to lose. I understand I can't beat the game. I just carve out my niche in the game and I stick to that. I stay in my lane. The military is not for everyone. I'm not, again, a fanatic saying, no, you need to go. But if you young and you don't have any direction and you don't have anything that could stop you from going, why not see if it can work for you? Because it's not just what you do while you're in, it's what happens once you get out.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Chuck, you trying to do a little word association real quick?
Go for it.
All right, let's start up with a real man. I prefaced that it was going to be real N-word, but I don't want to get censored on YouTube, so I changed it to real man.
A myth. There's no real, doesn't need a designation. They only tell you it's fake diamonds because it's not real diamonds. So they tell you it's cubic zirconia. Diamonds don't need, oh, these are real diamonds. So if we are men, why do we need to be associated as real? If you are what you are, it already shows.
I love it. I love it. Let's go with money.
A necessary evil. You need it to survive, but it's not the end all be all, because wealth doesn't buy health. You can have billions of dollars and still die lonely by yourself.
I love that. I love that too. Home.
Place where you're comfortable. A place that you can call yours. A place where you get to call the shots and can't nobody dictate to you what you can and can't do.
So do you feel like Philly is still home, or is Texas home for you? That's just a side question.
Philly is always home. Texas is a benefit to me, but Philadelphia is always home. There's no place like home. I don't feel like I'm home in Texas. I'm just in Texas living.
I love it. I love that. What about the streets?
Undefeated. The streets don't lose. Only the players change. The game is the same, and it don't matter what era, generation, what neighborhood. It's all the same, and no one stays on top forever because either the cops gonna get you, your family gonna get you, your homie gonna get you, your enemy's gonna get you. Undefeated.
I love this, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Father.
My instrumental, important, a necessity.
These are great, man. This is going to be the part that I'm clipping up and showing previews online from. I'm looking at the list. Woman. Let's go with woman.
Hurt.
I like that. Could you build on that a little bit for me? I like that.
I'll take you back to bring you forward. Our women were put in a position not to trust us going back to slavery because those slave masters showed them that we can be tamed, we could be killed, we could be sexually assaulted. So we couldn't protect them. So they had to develop a mindset of how to protect everybody. Fast forward into the late 60s, going into the 70s, Black women were the only ethnicities who were forced to pick between their children or their man.
Yeah.
They chose their children based on the natural order of how they were told. A mother takes care of her children. So they are hurt because Black men have been absent, and some of it is our fault, some of it is their fault, but they are hurt because they feel unheard and undervalued. But if God made anything better than a Black woman, he kept it for himself.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. And then last but not least, healing.
Honesty. You can't heal until you're willing to be honest. Because if you can't identify what's ailing you, how can you then heal from it?
I love that. And then my last question is, you got an audience of every man on the planet Earth right now. We all speak the same language. They all understand what you're saying. And they all listening to you right now. Give them a lesson that you learned from your life that you want them to carry forward.
Being the loudest and the smartest doesn't make you the best. Humility takes you further than cockiness does. Stand on what you do. If you do it, be able to stand on it. Don't be a hypocrite. We can't live in a do as I say, not as I do society because it doesn't work. So at the end of the day, be who you say you are. Live who you say you are. And if you are living and being who you say you are, the people who get you will get you, and the people who don't won't matter.
I love it. Woo, man, this is great, man. I'm telling you, we could probably go for like 2 more hours, but I want to be respectful to your time and to the viewers' time.
I'm always here. If ever you need to holler at me, holler at me. I don't be doing much.
Where can the people find you if they want to connect with you?
Honestly, I don't carry a huge social media following because I worked in some systems where it wasn't smart to have a huge public platform. I worked in a state prison in Texas. I worked in behavioral health facilities. You don't want people just being able to look you up. But I'll be around as life changes. I may decide that I can lift some of those restraints, but
I respect that.
I will entertain on platforms like this that is actually trying to help Black men become the best version of Black men and they could be. So I'm always available to sit and chop it up with you.
This is dope, Chuck. This is dope, man. If y'all was watching, well, this ain't it, but the episode before he popped up, he was on a prior episode. I think it was Who Taught You How to Be a Man, and we busted up like this. And so I'm always glad to have a returning guest, man. I appreciate the support, man. I love you, brother. And I love everything that you're doing in your life, man. You're a success story. And that's great, right? Like, it's a lot of people who are from where we from. You from West, I'm from North Philly. That didn't make it, right? Like, literally my freshman year in college, dude that I was in middle school with saw me walking home from class, and I was at Temple. And he said, "Oh, you go to Temple?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm glad you made it, man. Cat got killed within a month.
Sheesh.
Like, I mean, Cat got killed within a month, and he wasn't even a bad kid in middle school. You know what I mean? Like, same dude as me. So, man, you're a success story, bro.
I appreciate that, and I thank you for having these type of platforms because your generation is the generation that can make the change. I am almost 15 years older than you, so we on the way out, and y'all are up and coming. So tomorrow you will be sitting in this seat. So the foundation that you are laying for the generation under you and the generations under them can possibly help facilitate the change that we need. So keep doing this.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you responding, man. I appreciate you. If you don't know, I literally posted about this yesterday, and he came and recorded with me today. By the time y'all see it, it won't be yesterday, but in real time, like I posted on my page yesterday, and he volunteered and came on. I don't even think it's been a full 24 hours yet since the posting. That's dope, man.
Information don't do you no good if you're the only person with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But Chuck, I appreciate your time, man. I'm sure you'll be back on, man, and I'll definitely reach out to you when we posted it.
My guy, enjoy the rest of
you have a good one, man.
For having me. You too.